we really wanted to like the S10e. It's got an absolutely gorgeous build. I mean, just look at that back. And in hand, the feel, it's perfect. If you know me, you know I love the compact form factor. People like us, we've been waiting for a phone like this for ages now. And when we did get our hands on the S10e finally, it felt like we found the perfect compact phone. But the more time we spent with it, the more we began to notice some things about it. Things that kind of started to bother us. Hey guys, Ash here from C4E Tech, and this video is all about why I think the S10e could have been great, but ended up being just about good. If you do end up liking this video, please don't forget to turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Now, the first big complaint that we had with the S10e, that's gotta be the battery life. Now, it's not the size of the battery itself. Thanks to the smaller form factor, there is less space inside. So of course they couldn't cram in a huge capacity battery here. It's 3100 milliamp hour, that's fine. But when it comes to the actual battery life, it was kind of disappointing. For example, something like say the Mi 9 SC, despite having a smaller battery, performed better. And yes, that's thanks to MIUI 10 and its optimizations, and also the fact that it has a weaker chip, of course. But I wish Samsung could have done better with the battery here. It feels like something like the Galaxy Alpha all over again. Anyway, now moving on to number 2, we have the camera situation on the S10e. Now the regular S10 and the S10 Plus have some of the best cameras on a smartphone right now. The S10e loses out on the telephoto lens. Now for most people this shouldn't be a big deal, since the 16 megapixel ultra-wide sensor is what is new with this generation of Samsung flagships, and for the more practical scenarios, the wider field of view is more useful. After all, brands like OnePlus did upgrade from a telephoto to just software zoom, right? Now these days, after the OnePlus 5, we don't even have a telephoto, and people aren't really annoyed with it. So the telephotos, and especially when you go into low light situations, the telephotos don't even work. Most of the times it's just a software crop in, even with the iPhones. So the telephotos aren't that important, but when you are paying upwards of 50k for a phone, you want it to be kitted out with all the bells and whistles, and the 12 megapixel telephoto camera with OIS gives you that extra reach. And it's disappointing to see a brand, you know, like Samsung omit something that even a Xiaomi manages to fit into something like a Mi 9 SC. I'm sorry I keep going back to the phone, but that's 20,000 rupees, with the S10e at over 50k loses out on the feature. Now this is something that Samsung's probably gonna blame engineering on, but if Samsung wanted to, Samsung has the engineering chops to fit it in if they really wanted to. At least I believe in Samsung that much. The S10e also misses out on the heart rate sensor to the back and the 8 megapixel depth sensor to the front. These I don't really care for much, I don't really mind that. Now on to something more people would actually care about. Samsung decided to axe that ultrasonic fingerprint scanner for their smaller variant, and instead chose to go with a capacitive one integrated into the power button. Now to be fair, this is a fast scanner. You can see how snappy it is, but it can't really match the coolness factor of an under the display fingerprint scanner, something that's now available on say an Oppo phone under 20k. Now having to compromise that when you go for a Samsung flagship just because you want the smaller form factor, that's a compromise that feels a little weird. I mean, I could have lived with that if not for the next one, the display compromise. And no, it is not about the decreased resolution. Believe it or not, Full HD Plus on a sub 6-inch display is great. It's not bad at all. Now this is an excellent panel. It's definitely not about the quality of the panel here. It's a 5.8-inch dynamic AMOLED panel. It is every bit as vibrant and good as the one on the S10 or the S10 Plus, but it's actually the edges that kind of bothered me here. Now for the past few years, flagship S and Note lines of phones from Samsung, they've always got those curved edges that kind of flow around the sides and melt into the metal, and it's been a signature feature that's helped kind of help these devices stand out. But with the S10e, you get a normal AMOLED panel, and that is kind of a bummer. Now when the S10e was announced, the first thing I did was go on to GSM Arena and see which compact Samsung flagship it resembled, as in from a form factor perspective, which it closely matched. And guess what? From a overall form factor, it kind of came really close to the S6 Edge. And the first thing in my head was like, hey, instead of a 5.1 inch display on the S6 Edge, we're going to get a 5.8 inch. It's going to be all screen. It's going to be just like an S6 Edge, same small compact form factor. So it's going to be like a S6 Edge with a larger display, all screen display, right? Wrong, because the S6 Edge, it kind of curves to the edges. It doesn't feel as premium as the S6 Edge just because it doesn't have that edge display. I know it's not a big deal. It doesn't really feel like it's a big deal, but if you're going to use it day after day, it does feel like a big deal, because yes, it is nitpicking, but if I'm not gonna nitpick, I might as well buy a OnePlus phone at 15-20k lesser or a Poco F1 cheaper and get a flagship experience, right? We are buying a Samsung flagship because we are nitpicking. Isn't that right? Anyway, I understand going with a curved screen meant that the fingerprint scanner had to go to the back, but is that such a bad idea? I mean, on a phone this small, the reach wouldn't have been an issue. And this feels more like a push, it's more to push people to buy the more expensive model decision than an engineering issue. And when you are, like I've said multiple times in this video, when you are paying 56k for a phone, we feel like you really shouldn't have to make any compromises, especially when it comes to features that aren't really size related. Now, I know we've been pointing out the flaws of the S10e throughout this whole video. This whole video seems like a rant aimed at the S10e. Seems like, hey, this guy hates the S10e. He's got a bone to pick. Maybe Xiaomi paid him for it or something like that. But no, there is a reason why the title says conflicted. The only reason I nitpick so much with the S10e is because for the first time in a long time, Samsung had an option that could have been perfect for people who loved small form factors. For once, it wasn't, you want a small phone, go get an iPhone. The S10e was the Android alternative that was almost perfect. In fact, it's the closest any phone has ever come to the perfect compact Android device. Well, I'm not really taking the Sonys into account. Heck, it even comes in several bright colors, something that even the S10 and S10 Plus lack. It's just that I am a bit disappointed that Samsung went all the way there and missed out on some of the finishing flourishes. Maybe next time, right? Well, I think I've gone on long enough. So this is it from me. Now I'd like to know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And I guess with that, it is time I bid you adieu. What do you think about the S10e? Is this something you like? What do you think about the negatives I've mentioned here? Are these things that bother you as well? Do you think these compromises shouldn't have been there? Again, let me know in the comments below. Also, thumbs up, thumbs down based on whatever you felt about this video. Subscribe, turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon if you haven't yet. If you've not checked out these videos, go ahead, do that. Check out our other channel, FTJ. And thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4 Retech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.